Hi everyone. Before you join us for another edition of your favourite Manchester United podcast, Southern Manx by the fans for the fans, I just wanted to let you know that this evening, instead of your usual player sound bites, you'll be hearing some of us lads talking about our favourite Manchester United memories and players. We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to another edition of the Southern Manx podcast by the fans for the fans. Got a few things to get through in tonight's episode. We're going to be reviewing the Spurs game. We're going to have a roundup of the Europa League. As it currently stands on this recording, we're half an hour into the game at Old Trafford against Granada, where we're 1-0 up. Also going to have a look ahead to the Burnley game, as well as looking at our weekly feature of the quiz and all things United Premier League roundup. On tonight's show, we've got the usual guests, the usual suspects. Mark.
Buenas noches.
We've got Nick.
Hello.
And JP.
Good evening, sir.
As well as myself, Orlando. Pleasure to be here as usual. So quite a few talking points from the Spurs game at the weekend. So Nick, I will come to you first. Obviously a major talking point was the Son incident. What did you make of it? Correct decision, a lot of fuss about nothing, or it was the wrong decision? And if so, who's to blame there? Is it VAR for flagging it in the first place, or is it the ref for agreeing with VAR? What did you make of the situation?
Oh, I mean, what a question to start off with. And it was the wrong decision. But I think the player has got a lot of blame, and I'll come to that in a bit. I think the referee is probably, other than lacking a set, he's got the minimal part of blame. And the VAR, whoever was sitting in Heathrow at the time, has got a lot of blame as well. But for me, the biggest issue, and this is what's wound me up since the game about this decision, is I'm pretty sure the start of last season there was a rule change of, if it's not enough to bring you to ground, then the ref can play on. The ref can play on with the game. Okay, if there doesn't think there's enough contact and you shouldn't have gone to ground, the ref will carry on. And I'm pretty sure that lasted about 24 minutes at the first stage of last season. That seems to have completely gone out the window. No grown man or woman, for that fact, would have ever gone down to their feet, on the ground for that amount of time. And because Son's done that, it's given VAR something to think about, which has then given the referee something to think about. And that's the bit I can't get my head round. Son has got to take the blame. Now, I'm not advocating the abuse he got online afterwards. That's not what I'm saying. But you should stay on your feet. But players know nowadays, if they go to ground, if they hold their face, if they squeal, like we're seeing a lot of in this Granada game now, you are making the person who's not even at the ground go, oh, what's happened there? It's like when you're watching an episode on Netflix and you've just got to nip out, put the kettle on. What did I miss? Rewind the tape, get back and see it. All these players are doing by rolling around on the floor is making someone at VAR go, have I missed something here? Which in turn gives the referee, who I don't think is the strongest ref, he's the one that made the blunders at home against Sheffield United that cost us. I don't think he's the strongest referee, but I think he's got minimal part of the blame because he's got someone in his ear going, you need to come and see this, because some players stayed on the ground for 5 minutes for something that should never have taken him to ground. And the whole point about my rant here is, if Son had just stayed on his feet holding his face, that does not go to VAR, and then therefore the goal stands. And that's the whole bit I'm fuming about. Apology, and my dog's fuming about it as well. That is the bit that I can't get my head round. That the fact that he has gone to ground has made someone go, I've missed something, that has then made the referee go, I think you've missed something. And no one missed anything. We all saw what happened. So I'm absolutely fuming with it. I think Son's got to take a lot of the blame. And I think players need to learn from this, because I thought we had a change in the game, the back end, beginning of last season. If it's not enough contact to take you to ground, then the ref can play on. And that rule was enforced until someone got in his ear and said, rewind the tape, sir.
No, passionately put there, Nick. I like that. JP, you wanted to add something to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to come in on that, mate, because I think Nick's hit the nail on the head. And I think this situation we've got now with VAR, And listen, I completely agree. Son shouldn't be doing what he's doing, but it's just an extension of this gamesmanship that can be used to try and influence and win games. You know, like diving and things like that. You know, that have gone before. The diving, the surrounding the referee that used to happen back in the day a lot. You know, unfortunately, the way that they've implemented VAR and the way it's being used, it's giving players an option, if you like, as Nick said, an option to try and influence the proceedings in a game. And although I don't think Son should do it, I don't actually blame Son for this, because if you're given an opportunity, you know, to try and win, if you're a winner, you're going to take it. And because, as Nick said, players know that they can sort of influence these things being looked at. They're going to take advantage of that. They are going to take advantage of it, and it's a fundamental issue in the way that we've implemented VAR. I know we've said it a million times, but it isn't working. It wasn't thought about properly, or even if, you know, we can forgive them for not thinking about it properly. You don't know sometimes until you do this. It's not being reviewed enough. It's not being reviewed quickly enough, and they aren't making adaptations and changes and sticking to them to improve it and to grow the way it works and to get it embedded in the game in a way that is acceptable to everyone. Because I think you'd all agree at the moment, as football fans, it's not acceptable, and it's doing nothing for our game. It's making it worse.
No, yeah, I agree with the points that both of you have made. I think, again, a contentious thing for me with VAR is that it was supposed to always be about clear and obvious errors. And the amount of times that decisions and incidents are being looked at with a fine tooth comb would suggest that it's therefore not a clear and obvious error. It seems to me is that they're now using it as a tool and a mechanism to look at every decision to make sure that it's right. Certain types of decision, every penalty is looked at, every goal is more or less looked at. So all the major incidents are looked at, which in theory should be a good idea, but it's not, because it's, you know, the amount of ridiculous offside decisions that we've seen this seasons, because, you know, and that's hair has made the person offside with a part of the body that you can't even score with. It takes a lot of the enjoyment out of it, and it definitely needs to either be removed or it needs to be fine-tuned, because it really is sucking the life out of a lot of games, and there aren't many decisions I think out there being seen that go, cool, I'm glad we had VAR for that. I think as a bare minimum, the goal line technology should stay. I think that's a really good invention. If it's a millimetre or not, I think that's black and white, that's binary. It's either a goal or it's not a goal. But even with the VAR, it's still too much of a grey area for me. So it's very disappointing. No, thank you guys for your input. Ollie and Jose seem to have a little war of words after the game, JP, with Jose doing his usual, sort of reiterating his historical trophy cabinet. Wherever he's gone, whichever spell at any club, Jose's always won at least one trophy. However, how likely is it that you think that Spurs will be the first club that Jose ever leaves without actually ever winning a trophy?
I think extremely likely. I mean, I think it's more likely to happen than not. You know, they haven't had a good season, as we know, although they started well. I just don't see where a trophy's going to come from, even if you're talking about, you know, a League Cup. I know they've got a final against Manchester City in the League Cup, but I just cannot see any way that they're going to win that game against City. I just can't see it. It's a one-off game, you know, could be wrong. But in my opinion, they lose the game. They obviously then don't win a trophy this season. Where they're going to finish in the league, they're not. I don't think they're going to get in the Champions League spots now. You know, I don't think they're going to be anywhere near it. So if they don't do that, you know, I think Levy will have a decision to make come the summer. And it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they don't win a trophy and they don't finish in the Champions League spots. If there's someone new in the hot seat come the start of next season, I'd be very, very surprised if Jose is there. As we all know, we've experienced it ourselves and we've talked about it on this pod. Jose tends to be, or Jose's career obviously points out, he's a short-term manager. Apart from maybe you could argue that the first stint at Chelsea. Aside from that, you know, he's always on about the second season, and it takes him a season, then he'll do something in the second season. But that's, you know, frittered away a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I know I've said it before, but you can't argue with Jose's CV. You know, he's won everything in multiple clubs in multiple countries. You cannot argue with that. But as happened with other people in our game that have been hugely successful, I think the game's moved on. I don't see Jose winning anything with Spurs. I don't see Jose doing anything much with them, to be honest. I think they're going to lose Kane this summer, wherever he might go. That could start a mass exodus, I think, of sort of the big players they've got there at the moment. You know, players like Dele Alli, all right, he might have fallen off a little bit, but the way Jose tends to work, he's sort of been alienated and is nowhere to be seen now. They obviously had that shocking result in the Europa League after winning the first leg 2-0 against Dinamo Zagreb and ending up losing it 3-2 on aggregate. Yeah, I mean, I can't see anything other than him sort of exiting Spurs, and I don't think he'll be exiting with any silverware either.
Yeah, it almost seems ironic and cliche that it would have to be Spurs, wouldn't it? A Spursy, in a nutshell, really, that even Jose can't win a trophy at Spurs. I mean, obviously they've got a cup final, as you mentioned, and anything can happen in cup finals, but I'd have to agree with you there. I get the feeling that he will leave whenever that is, at this season or next season, trophyless, which will be obviously a black mark against his name on his CV and his record of winning trophies wherever he's gone. Mark, so with that win at Spurs, we remain unbeaten away in the Premier League, and domestically the only defeat we had was the FA Cup against Leicester. So what do you think that we need to do differently at home in order to have, in an ideal world, obviously an equal record of being unbeaten, but having something close to the kind of form that we've had away from home at Old Trafford?
Change the seat colours. I don't know if you saw Ollie come out and said some of the players have remarked and said that, split second decision, you've got a red shirt and red seats directly behind the player. That's it is sort of influencing their decision making. If you look at the game tonight, the bottom tier of the stand is actually black, and I think that's going to make a difference. I think that might be a bit of a red herring, might be like the grey kit at Southampton all those years ago. But if you actually look at it, 3 of our home defeats came in the first 10 games, well, first 6 games if you like. Palace, Spurs and Arsenal. Obviously the Spurs game was a bit of a freak result, sending off. Palace game was poor all round, but felt a bit more like a pre-season friendly more than anything in them early weeks. And then the Arsenal game was a pretty drab affair. Late penalty could have easily been a draw. And then I think when you go back to that Sheffield United game, and Nick alluded to it there, some terrible decision making on the day from the referee, and that could have been different. And I think really, what do we need to do differently? I think our sort of second half form at home has been pretty good this season. Away form obviously very much better. But then think about the FA Cup game against Liverpool at home. Obviously that was a victory. We've had some decent results there too. But yeah, if we can finish the season in the Premier League away form unbeaten, which looks likely now. I mean, only Leeds, Villa and Wolves to go. I think probably Leeds are the ones to watch out for. They can be a bit sort of Jekyll and Hyde. I think that'd be a great statement to finish the season unbeaten away in the league. But like you say, need to carry it on. I think it will happen naturally. I think there was a bit of a point where we were more suited to playing away, more suited to sort of counter-attacks, coming back from behind. I think the fans will make a big difference because I don't think they'll accept sort of subpar performances at home. They'll roll you on a little bit. How much, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's just sort of putting it all together next season and going on a bit of a run early doors. I'll be fine. Keep playing as we are. I think the home away form will kind of catch itself out. You probably expect to lose some games on the road, but then not lose as many at home, and it all evens out rather than one or the other. I would like to build a home form like Liverpool have done over the last couple of seasons. So sort of a real unbeaten patch, a real fortress. I think that's what we need to make Old Trafford again. So yeah, hopefully next season we can start on the front foot.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've spoken about progression, haven't we, over the last few weeks, and United progressing, in the league, in competitions, in patterns and styles of play. And I think that's probably going to be one of the next things on the list, isn't it? Really, to really fortify Old Trafford again. And I think you're right with the fans. I'm hoping that will make a big difference and maybe be the last piece of the jigsaw for us to take it to that next level in terms of our home form. Well, thank you for that, guys. And we will now move on to the Europa League and see what's happening in there. Thank you.
Hi, it's Mark from the Southern Manx. Favourite United player? Cristiano Ronaldo. So good, I named my son after him. Favourite memory, other than the 99 treble winning season, has to be the other time we've won the Champions League in my lifetime over Chelsea in Moscow 2008.
Welcome back, part 2, Southern Manx podcast. We're going to be talking about the Europa League tie with Granada and our next steps in the competition. So, Nicky G, come to you first. Your man, Paul Pogba, given the armband tonight. Surprised? Does this mean he's going to sign a new deal? Obviously, currently 1-0 up. Got the assist for the goal. What are your thoughts on that?
He's certainly playing well. You never know with Pogba and the agent situation and sort of the captaincy thing. I don't read too much into it. I'm surprised that it wasn't given to Bruno, but I don't read too much into it, or De Gea for that fact. But in Ronaldo's last season, I remember him captaining against Fulham, for instance. So I don't read too much into the armband. I've always thought Pogba was a class act. Always liked him. Do think he's one of the top midfielders in the world. I don't think we've really unlocked his potential. There was little bits under Jose where it was Pogba, Matic and Herrera, but then Herrera was never really had the confidence of Jose. He seems to have been injured a lot under Ollie, but when he does play for Ollie, he does tend to play well, to be fair. I think he's had more better games in under Ollie than he's probably had under anyone else. But you can never tell. I just think this summer's going to be such a mad summer. And I think the one thing that could work in our favour is there's probably not going to be a lot of big money movement. And if teams can afford to buy one player, then maybe it's not Paul Pogba. There's probably going to be a free for all for Haaland and maybe Mbappe, or there's talk about a new contract now. Obviously, Kane is going to more than likely move because Spurs are not going to finish top 4. We've already been linked with Varane. So maybe that might work in our favour in the fact that, hey, look, he hasn't got anywhere else to go. So maybe, but I certainly don't read much into the armband. I kind of hope he stays now. I kind of hope he keeps these performances up because he is a class act and signs a new deal, even if it's just for 3 years. At least you don't have to deal with the Viola and contract talk for another 2 years, and that'll just be nice. I feel like we want a couple of years of just not this chat from Pogba, but then also, you know what he's like, you know what the agent's like. Nothing surprises me in football anymore. It's still up in the air for me, Pogba. I couldn't tell you yes or no right now. For me, it feels 50-50. But I'm pleased he's back on the pitch and I'm pleased he's playing well.
Yeah, been great recent weeks. Really good. We all know he can play. So, yeah, let's hope. Fingers crossed. I want him to stay. And I think he will. Another man on the score sheet again tonight, and obviously lovely headed goal on Sunday as well, Joe, is Edison Cavani. Obviously, there's an option for a further year. We've talked about him in recent weeks, but do you think he's another one that will stay? I know you love him. That one's developing. What do you think?
Hey.
Try again.
Oh, he's still on mute. Oh, he's done it. It's a double mute.
Boys, I think what happened there was, in my defence, I've doubled there, because as I've clicked it to unmute it, I think I've clicked it twice, and I've done that twice. So
Don't worry, go on.
I've gone to new levels. So yeah, I mean, I do love him, as you know. I think he's a fantastic player. I think having a proper centre forward up there that, you know, that can do all of it: head the ball, hold the ball up, work back, finish. You know, apart from maybe having the pace he might have once had, and I don't think it's ever been the biggest part of his game. I think he's a superb footballer, and I really think he's added something to us this season. He did have a few games where he was off the boil a bit. After that sort of talk of him moving back to South America, it seemed to have a bit of an impact for a few games, but obviously came back against Spurs with a fantastic goal, and obviously the first one with that little lovely bit of movement when there didn't appear to be any space to finish it off, which should have counted as well, as we know. We were talking about it off air before we started the pod tonight, and I'd love to see us re-sign him. I think he will end up going back to South America, but I would love to see us re-sign him. But I would still love to see us go for, you know, a Kane, a Haaland, and have the option of Cavani on the bench, maybe to come on late and stuff like that. I think we'd be in a very strong position then. Maybe I'm being a bit ambitious there, given the circumstances with the strikers that might be available and the competition to sign them. But that would be the ideal scenario. I mean, you know, listen, I'd definitely be looking to re-sign him for another year if he was interested in staying and still had the hunger and the desire to do that. And it's looking like, obviously, we'll be back in the Champions League next season as well. So, yeah, I mean, watch this space. I personally think that he may end up going back to South America, and that's my inkling. But yeah, I've advocated him before, and I advocate him again. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's got another season in him. He doesn't rely on those things you necessarily, you know, lose, I suppose, a bit when you get older, i.e. the pace side of things. But, you know, the mind is still there, the work rate, the work ethic. They were talking earlier on the commentary in the game tonight about his sort of relationship and with Greenwood and learning off Cavani, Greenwood. I mean, and I think that's a massive part of having someone like that in the dressing room that scored the amount of goals he scored and played at the level that he's played at for that time. I don't know if you saw it, but showed a clip of after he scored the goal tonight celebrating, and Greenwood was running towards him and he was giving him the face. Like, you can tell there's a good relationship there. I don't think you can underestimate that kind of thing. He's obviously still in fantastic shape. So, yeah, as I said, I'd love to see it, but I do feel that he may end up leaving us this summer, unfortunately.
Yeah, like you say, you know, 1-0 up at half time as we record through his goal. I think I'd love another season of him. I think Mason would love another season to have him there. You saw them two link up on Sunday for the goal, but you can see there was a header that Mason scored. I can't remember our last Premier League game, Brighton. And that sort of a little bit of movement that you hope that he's sort of watching Cavani, learning from him in training. So another year of that, like you said, I think would be fantastic. Obviously, thinking about Cavani and our options in the squad in general, obviously 1-0 up here. Looks like we're going to progress to the semi-final. The draw for the semi-final is the 29th of April, the first leg, which kind of sandwiches at the moment in between an away game at Leeds and a home game against Liverpool, with the second leg then following before a trip to Aston Villa. Joe, I'll stay with you. Would you, now with top four sort of looking pretty strong, would you be playing full strength in Europa League and potentially resting players against the likes of Leeds and Liverpool? Or would you be looking to keep it a bit balanced, or what's your take there, just quickly?
Yeah, it's about balance for me, without a doubt. I think, you know, yes, we're in a strong position in second place in the league now. The Europa League is our main chance of silverware, and we have to, I think, you know, the position we've got ourselves in the league, we have to make the Europa League our priority. Having said that, I wouldn't make wholesale changes. You know, move the players out that need a rest, move the players out that have got niggles, you know, sort of adjust the side accordingly, but I wouldn't be changing 11 players and, you know, absolutely going gung-ho for the changes, because especially not against Liverpool and Leeds. I mean, two of our oldest rivals. You know, no matter what the state of play, you want to be, you know, putting your best foot forward, especially against two sides like that. So yeah, it's about balance for me, Mark. I'd look to see who, you know, be smart about it. I am encouraged recently by the way that Ollie has made his selections. I think he maybe has learnt from his mistakes a little bit, and he has sort of started to adjust it in a way that makes more sense, I guess, rather than these sort of random inclusions of players that haven't played for a few games or that have played and haven't played well, etc. So yeah, I'll be making a couple of changes where necessary, but not wholesale changes.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I think you've just seen there Pogba's come off at half-time against Granada, obviously on a booking, so it's a sensible decision there. Keep him fresh, make sure he can play in the next game. I think I agree with you there. I was disappointed that Mason was on the bench on Sunday, but then he comes on, sets the second up and scores the third. So you think that's great management by Ollie. Credit where credit's due. He knows all about, the importance of substitutes, being sort of super sub himself. So yeah, let's hope that some of those sort of early decisions that he was making with some of the team selection, he's kind of learnt from his previous mistakes. In the other games, then tonight, Ajax have just gone 1-0 up against Roma, so 2-2 on aggregate. Obviously, Roma got 2 away goals in the first leg, so they're still on course to make it through into the semi-final against us. If we were to beat either Roma or Ajax, it's looking likely, extremely likely, that the other semi will be between Arsenal 3-0 up tonight against Prague and Villarreal 2-0 up against Zagreb. Is there a preference out of the two? Any banana skins? Any insight you can offer on if we do make it to the final and the outlook for that?
Yeah, it's an interesting clash, isn't it? Because you've got Unai Emery going up against his previous employers at Arsenal, and sort of Spanish middle of the road sort of clubs tend to do well in this competition. They seem to go for it full pelt. So I think they will be looking at this very much a competition they could win, as will Arsenal. I think they both will be two clubs very motivated to win this competition. Arsenal obviously lost to Chelsea season before, can't remember now. Whole world sort of moulds into one these days in terms of time, so I'm sure they won't want to lose another Europa League final. They were to get that far, and of course would be a passport into the Champions League. So I think obviously they've all got their motivations for it. We want to win some silverware. Arsenal, I think, is kind of a potential banana skin in a sense that I do think they have they will present us some problems. I think Arteta obviously won his FA Cup final last time round, so I think it's going to be tough. I'll go back to what I said in a few pods, which is there isn't a team left in the competition that I'm generally worried about, or that I don't think we can beat over 2 legs. So I'm confident that we'll get to a final, but a final is always a final. But I think if you could choose any of these opponents, you would still, you'd still back United against any of those teams. And, I'm quietly confident that, we should really be winning this competition, bearing in mind that we don't get any serious injuries. So preference wise, don't really have a preference. Maybe an all English tie might be good, glamour tie, but we're all going to get beat at the end of the day as far as I'm concerned. So bring them on.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking off air about the game against Arsenal in the Champions League. Nick's background tonight, obviously that would be a mouth-watering tie. Obviously both teams not quite what they were, when you think back to the brilliant sort of title battles that we had over the years. I think we probably say that we're sort of on the up, whereas Arsenal's still kind of finding their feet. But like you say, this would be a massive boost for them, and to get back in the Champions League, that would be huge. No, good stuff. So let's hope then that we can obviously see. I mean, avoiding a major disaster on tonight's game, we'll be through to the semi, which would be great. That'd be back-to-back semi-final stages on Europa League. Let's hope we can go one better this season and make it to the final. A lot of football to be played, obviously, before then. Potentially difficult semi as well. Either Roma or Ajax are going to be tough, and obviously difficult in the final. Whatever happens, it's still a final. But yeah, no. Thanks for your insights there, guys. That rounds up part 2. Part 3, we'll look ahead to this weekend's game against Burnley.
Hi, I'm Nick, and I'm the one with the pug, which is Riri. My favourite United players are Dwight York and Paul Scholes, and my best ever memory is the 99 treble season, the commentary from the Champions League final, and Solskjaer has won it, name on the trophy, even the semi-final, full steam ahead Barcelona, still gives me goosebumps to this day.
Good evening. Welcome back to part 3 of the Southern Manx podcast. By the fans, for the fans. Let's look forward now to Burnley at home, which is on Sunday. Let's dive straight in. Orlando, I'll come to you first. There's going to be a week's gap between the Burnley fixture and then Leeds away the following Sunday. How much of that will affect Ollie's thinking in terms of team selection, given what you've seen tonight? What do you think the lineup's probably going to be on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, we're still kind of going for it in this game, albeit not, 100% full tilt. So I think we've obviously got that game in the back of our mind as well. And then with a week gap after that. So, I think we mentioned it before. You don't want change for change's sake, but you've got to kind of be a bit shrewd about these things at the business end of the season and not, you do have to prioritise. And I think obviously Ollie will be the man on the ground and knows players better than we do and them themselves. And, lads that need rests need to be rested. Lads that don't. I think as JP said, you don't want to be making sort of 11 changes for the sake of it, a la Football Manager. This is real life. You've got to take it seriously. But yeah, Burnley should be a game that we're winning. Another 3 points that'll take us to, 32 league games played. Only leaves us six games left. So we want to be picking up points wherever we can because as we mentioned, Leeds and Liverpool coming up. So if we were, to drop points in those games, which isn't, unlikely because they're difficult games and we may play weakened sides, you kind of want to pick up those 3 points wherever you can in the easier ties like this one. So I think it'll go fairly strong, but maybe just kind of listening to the players, see what they're saying. Have they got knocks? Are they a bit tired? And I think you can rotate in certain positions and not in others, really. I think people like Bruno, Cavani, Mason, Pogba, these are going to be players that are going to determine whether we do or don't pick up silverware this season and remain in the top 4. So they sort of have to be protected at all costs, I think.
Yeah, and as we talk there, Cavani's come off on the hour mark, so I think that's pretty obvious. He's going to be starting Sunday. I think that's fairly good management in the game in doubt. Dan James has come on, and then as Joe alluded to there, Mason's gone central, which is where some people think he will end up. So, Joe, I'll come to you then. Burnley, not mathematically safe. Any danger of them being dragged into a relegation scrap, or is this just going to be another season of lower mid-table mediocrity?
Yeah, I've just had a look. I had a look at the table earlier, Nick, and for me, I mean, they're sort of 7 points ahead of Fulham in 18th, and they've got a game in hand on Fulham as well. I just think the sort of club Burnley are, and obviously having that consistency of the manager over however many years he's been there now, quite a long while, and they've always sort of punched above their weight. And I know they've been down, come up and gone down and come back up again. But since they come back up again, they've been up for the last, I don't know what it is now, maybe six seasons, I would guess that. I think Fulham aren't winning games. They aren't picking up points. Newcastle obviously won the other day. I think Burnley have the know-how. I think they know how to survive in this league. Obviously not the most attractive of football, but I think they'll have enough to stay up. I don't think it's gonna change, if I'm honest now, that bottom 3. I think the 3 that will go will be Sheffield United, West Brom and Fulham. I think the experience that Burnley have had staying in this league, and that's their main objective, isn't it? I know they've sort of finished a bit higher on a couple of occasions during that spell. I think they know how to get points in this league, and I think that they will stay up. I can't see them getting dragged into it and going down. However, having said that, stranger things have happened, and there does always tend to be a team that puts a run together you don't expect, etc. I just can't see that this season, to be honest with you, mate. And I think that they will be safe and they'll be in the league come next season.
Yeah, same. I think the only time Burnley go down is probably when Sean Dyche leaves, or when the fans decide they want another style of football, and be careful what you wish for vibes. But yeah, they'll be here next year, no doubt. So Mark, just rounding off, looking forward to Sunday then. What's Burnley's threats and danger men? Where's the problems going to come from here?
Yeah, so a couple of things to bear in mind with Burnley. Obviously, coming off the back of 2 defeats, at home to Newcastle in the last game, which was particularly poor, given Newcastle where they are at the moment, and Southampton the week before. Thing with Burnley recently, their last sort of 4 or 5 games, they've actually been starting quite well. They've been scoring goals in the first half, first 20 minutes. They had an eye-catching win away at Everton. Obviously, Chris Wood, they've gone slightly differently because Ashley Barnes has been out for a couple of months. So they've had Wood and Vidra up front, so sort of big man, little man. Niall Quinn, Kevin Phillips kind of vibes, not quite as prolific. I think Wood's their top goal scorer on 7 in the league. So like you, I think you've commented before, Nick, Burnley are, I think in our away game there earlier on in the season, we covered in the pod, I think it was Eric Bailly who stood up that day, coping with sort of the long balls, the aerial threat that you're going to get with Burnley. I think this game will be slightly different because they haven't got 2 big men, obviously with Barnes set to miss out, so it'll be Wood and Vidra. So it will kind of, I guess it will be sort of playing long to Wood and flicking it on to Vidra, who is a bit more pacey, to try and get in behind the back line. So that will be a bit of a threat. I quite like McNeil on the wing. I think he can play. He normally sort of plays from the left, got a bit of pace about him, decent end product. I'm not worried about him though. I think Wan-Bissaka's dealt with the likes of Mbappe, Neymar, Sterling this season, who are 10 times better or more than him. So yeah, I think your threats really, they're going to be similar to, do you remember the game last season at home? We lost 2-0, I think. Jay Rodriguez got that goal. I think that kind of kick-started us a bit last season, got us going again. I can't see us having a similar issue this season. Certainly shouldn't have anyway. Like you said, on the team selection, we could be our own masters of our own downfall, if anything, if we kind of try to rotate a bit too much and not quite up for it. Particularly, like you say, in the aerial threat. Obviously, with Axel starting tonight, because Maguire being suspended, you expect him to come back in and deal with that. So yeah, I think just be on our guard certainly from the first whistle. Make sure no silly mistakes. Don't give them any easy goals early on. Settle into the game, and I think we'll be fine. And even if we do, we're comeback kings. So we should be able to come back and get the win, even if we do slip an early goal. So yeah, I'm pretty confident of this one. I don't think they carry that much of a threat. Results have been pretty poor. They probably know they're safe. So yeah, expect us to get the win and deal with this quite comfortably.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those situations where it's probably the right time to play Burnley. I'm not worried about this one. I expect Maguire, Shaw, McTominay, Rashford to all come back in, and just those players alone are better than what Burnley has to offer. Then throw in your Brunos and Cavani's and Masons. I'm fairly confident. So yeah, that'll be Sunday. Let's end this part of predictions then. Mark, you finished, so you can start. What you thinking?
Yeah, I think Henderson probably be back in goal, so eager to get a clean sheet. So I'm saying 3-0 United.
Big. Okay, JP.
I think similar to Mark, I'm going to go 2-0.
Ozzy, 4-1 defeat.
Let's flip it on its head. 4-1 win for United.
4-1.
Come on.
Okay. Yeah. I think this will be 2-1, unnecessarily tighter than usual, but I think we'll win. Okay, so stay tuned to part 4, where we're going to round up all the news around Old Trafford and also the latest part of the Carlos Quiz Ros. So get your pens and papers ready.
And your crayons. Hello, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. I'm Joe, the bald one. Favourite players of all time? Firstly, Roy Keane. They don't make him like Roy anymore. Absolute warrior of a central midfielder. Had absolutely everything. And of course, the king, the god, Eric Cantona. For sheer skill, creativity, brilliance, finesse. Absolute genius. Favourite memories? One of them has got to be the semi-final, second leg, European Cup in the treble year away at Juventus. We were 2-0 down in no time, looked out, pulled it back to 2-2, and in the 85th minute, due to link up with his strike partner Dwight York, Gold King Cole scored the goal that cemented our place in the 99 final. Full speed ahead, Barcelona. Welcome back to part 4 of the Southern Manx podcast, by the fans, for the fans. In this part, we're going to be discussing a couple of the rumours that have been happening this week surrounding the club and surrounding some of the world's top players. But first and foremost, the part you've all been waiting for, the Carlos Quiz Ros. Let's get straight into this, boys. Get your pens, pencils and crayons ready. Question number 1. And there is a theme for tonight's quiz, and the theme is UEFA Champions League. Obviously, we're talking about the Premier League years, so we're starting from then. Question number 1. In the 1994-95 Champions League season, we drew a young Jesper Blomqvist IFK Gothenburg in the group stage. But who played in goal for the Swedes in both games? Stunned silence. Question number 2. In April 2002, that's the 2001-2002 season, we travelled to the Bay Arena to face Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League semi-final second leg after drawing 3-3 in a first leg thriller at Old Trafford. It finished 1-1 in the second leg and United went out on away goals. But who were the goal scorers that night? I'll give you a point for both goal scorers or half a point for one. Question number 3. In March 2000, in our defence of our Champions League crown, we faced Fiorentina in a revamped format of the competition in the second group phase. We won the home tie 3-1. But can you name 3 of the players that featured for the Italian outfit that evening? Question number 4. In the 1997-98 season, we drew Feyenoord and the Old Lady Juventus in our group at the group stage. But which team made up that group, the rest of that group, one other team? And finally, question number 5. In the 2006-2007 competition, we finished top in our group on 12 points. But who joined us in the second stage, finishing second on 9 points? A lot of silence going on here, boys. How are we feeling about the quiz tonight?
Yeah, not great.
No? Tough one, mate. Tough one.
Tough one?
Just as we just doing the quiz, we've just gone 2-0 up against Granada. OG.
Cracking finish.
Oh, yeah. Lovely little glance in there, wasn't it?
Alex Telles, we were talking off air about his crossing ability. There you go. That was a weird goal because afterwards the Granada players were kind of giving the bloke who scored an own goal a pat on the back. That sort of great finish, son.
Right, I've got
Is that
everyone's...
Screech, by the way, playing centre half for.
Looks like it.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got everyone's answers in. Thanks for sending them over, boys. So let's go through those answers now. So question number 1. Please play along at home, the usual drill. In the 1994-95 Champions League, we drew a young Jesper Longfist, IFK Gothenburg in the group stage. But who played in goal for the Swedes in both games?
My guess was Thomas Ravelli.
Correct. Thomas Ravelli, hero of the 1994 World Cup for the Swedes, was won the best goalkeeper of the tournament.
And they say you don't learn anything from playing FIFA Road to World Cup 98.
Absolutely.
Love that game.
The reason I put that question in was one of my favourite commentators, Brian Moore, on one of the United review videos. I remember it well. He used to commentate for ITV before Clive Tilsley. There was a shot, and he just, I don't know why, he didn't say a lot. He just said the goalkeeper's name, but he said Thomas Ravelli, and I've always remembered it. It's just stuck with me. So that was the reason for that question.
I nearly wrote Rabbi Shaban and then changed it. I thought, because you said 94, 95, and he was
about 10
2000s.
then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Question number 2. In April 2002, we travelled to the Bay Arena to face Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League semi-final, second leg, after drawing 3-3 in the first leg thriller at Old Trafford. It finished 1-1 in that second leg, and United went out on away goals. But who were the goal scorers in that 1-1 draw? I'll give you a point for both or half for one.
I went Ballack and Scholes.
So I went Oliver Neuville and Scholes.
Hi, man.
I went Ballack and Giggs.
Nicky was the only person getting points there then, so Nicky got half. So it was Oliver Neuville. But Roy Keane actually opened the scoring and put us 1-0 up.
Keno. I had Keno at one point.
Oh, unlucky.
Changed it.
Unlucky. Okay, next question, question 3. In March 2000, in our defence of our Champions League crown, we faced Fiorentina in a revamped format, second group phase. We won the home tie 3-1, but can you name 3 of the players that featured for the Italian outfit that evening?
Batistuta.
Correct.
Toldo.
Correct.
Rui Costa.
Correct.
Was Delivio not one?
Angelo Delivio played, yeah. Correct.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Imam?
Yeah, I had the same as Mark, but there was a defender I couldn't remember, and there was also a midfielder I used to like as well, but I couldn't remember his name that they had. I just couldn't remember the life of me.
Let me read you the list. Toldo, Daniele Adani, Alessandro Pierini, Thomas Repka, remember him? Another long-haired beauty, Moreno Torricelli, also played for Juventus.
That's the one, Torricelli. That was the one I was thinking.
Left wing back or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, Angelo Delivio, Jörg Heinrich, the German, Fabio Rosito, Rui Costa, Gabriel Batistuta, and I thought one of you might put this one in, Predrag Mijatovic.
Oh, what a player.
Yeah.
Oh, the old Real Madrid legend.
Real Madrid guy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my favourite shirts, that Fiorentina shirt as well. Great shirt.
Yeah, lovely shirt. It was Nintendo, the sponsor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, my barber has got that shirt with Batistuta on the back up in his barber.
Great shirt.
Barber shop.
Very nice. Well done on that one.
I had a knockoff shirt from one of those youth football tournaments, one of the purple Real Madrid away kit with Mijatovic on the back.
Nice.
What a hero.
Brilliant.
Well done, boys. I think you all got a point there, so well done.
Yes.
Question number 4. In the 97-98 season, we drew Feyenoord and the old lady Juventus in our group, but which team completed that group lineup?
I said Slovan Bratislava.
I think you all said something similar for the answers, but what did you other boys put?
Slovan Liberec or something like that.
Oh, we played them as well.
Yeah, you both put Slovan Liberec. Yeah. Not bad guesses, but the answer is FC Kosice.
Oh, Kosice,
Anyone
yeah.
remember
Yeah, I remember
We
them.
both went for Liberec. Random that.
Great minds, Nick. Great minds.
Okay, question number 5, final question. In the 2006-2007 competition, we finished top in our group on 12 points, but who joined us finishing second on 9 points?
Just quickly on the last questions, Slovan Liberec are actually Czech football club, not Slovakian.
Yeah.
Just to clear that up
Thank you,
for any
Alexa.
Slovakian listeners.
Yeah.
Celtic.
Bit of history there between the Czechs and Slovakians as well, so we should probably tread carefully.
Yeah.
What was that, Mark? Sorry?
For number 5,
Yeah,
I went Celtic.
correct. It was
Oh.
Celtic, yeah.
think
The Battle
we-
of Britain, they called it.
Yeah, we lost it.
I went Rangers.
Oh, was that
Yeah,
the
right.
Nakamura free kick?
Nakamura free kick, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure of it.
Well,
Up at Celtic Park. We lost
we
1-0.
we did face Rangers at a similar point in time. I can't remember what season. We did have Rangers in our group as well at one point. But
Yeah,
that
Phil
particular-
Neville scored, I think.
That particular one was Celtic.
And
Okay,
I
fantastic.
remember the Celtic game now because for no reason whatsoever, other than the fact that Sir Alex was a Rangers player, we wore the blue kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No other reason.
Yeah. I remember that now.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, nice one, JP.
Well done, boys. Good effort. We've had obviously the producer in the background just talking in my ear. As you can see, I've got the AirPod in here. I'm listening to the boys on this one here. Very professional. We have actually got the scores on the doors in here. So this evening, Orlando 1 point. That's Orlando un point.
Oh dear.
Mr. Nicky G 1.5 points. But absolutely smashing it. To be fair, on 3 points this evening is Mr. Mark Powell. Where does that
Not
leave
enough,
us?
though, is it? It's not enough.
Well, where does that leave us? I hear you ask. So,
I don't
scores
want to
on the
know.
doors,
mate.
leaderboards. Get ready for this. In fourth position, myself on 9.5 points. In third position on 10.5 is Big O. And in joint first position now on 15.5 points, Mr. Mark Powell, Mr. Nicky G. Congratulations.
Come on.
Mark's had a stormer there to sort of level it up at the top. So yeah, it's heating up, isn't it? The quiz. I'm not going to lie. I've got some catching up to do. I'm 6 points off the pace coming into next week. So yeah, in the relegation zone, I need to sort that out. Fantastic, lads.
Need another
always-
5 point showing soon, I think.
Always enjoy the quiz.
Good one, Joe. I like that.
Yeah,
Good
nice.
effort.
Cheers, Joe.
Well done, boys. Pleasure. Okay, before we wrap up tonight, then just a couple more things we want to talk about. Just some obviously some things that have been going on that relate to us potentially with transfers, etc. Some rumours. So the first question I was going to start with, lads, was there's been talk obviously this week of if Tottenham don't qualify for the Champions League this season, is there any sort of potential that Harry Kane could end up in a United shirt next season, Nick?
Yeah, the more you think about it, the more it could happen, especially after the result at the weekend. It just feels like it's come to an end now at Spurs. And although it would be difficult to get him out of the club because he's recently signed a new contract, the economical climate we're in, Harry Kane's age, the niggling injuries, you just think one of the clubs that would be silly enough to pay it could well just be us. And I think you made a great point off air. This does strike me as the kind of Sir Alex signing, the top striker. We always buy our strikers. You can see it. For me, the only thing holding it back now is the money. It's a lot of money. It's big cash. It's probably our transfer budget. But if you close your eyes and picture it, where could I see him the most? I think I can see Haaland at City, so then therefore they wouldn't need Kane, and then we'd be the only one in the running. The only other loose link that I can think of is the Pochettino connection, but I just think unless they sell someone, they're not going to have the big cash to spend. The last couple of windows, PSG have been dealing in free transfers, Ander Herrera, Choupo-Moting a couple of years ago, things like that. So they're not spending the cash like they used to. But maybe if someone bought Mbappe, you could maybe see the Pochettino. But from Harry Kane's personal perspective, he's probably the only person that can break Shearer's record. Is that enough to keep you in the country? I don't know. But these people are ultra competitive, aren't they? They're pros. But if I close my eyes, I can see him in the red shirt. I can see us having a classic Woodward summer of Tottenham saying no, 150, and we slowly go from 80 to 90 to 100 to 120 to 130, and then we get him deadline day. But it does just feel like a natural end now. Kane at Spurs, they're not getting in Champions League football. Will the I was going to call it the Carling Cup now. I can't even remember what it's called. What is it? Carabao,
Yeah.
Carabao Cup. Is that going to be enough? I don't know. If they had a good performance and won the cup, Does that make it all rosy again for Jose and for Kane? Not sure. But yeah, if you close your eyes, I can picture him in the red shirt and I can picture Woodward doing the deal. So I can see it.
I can too. I completely agree, and I think the way you've talked about how the other chips might fall in Haaland, etc. You know, and the money situation with the clubs in Spain that we talked about. I also added to that. I think Kane is 27 going on 28. I think he is the type of player that, again, is of that age where, you know, United, he would have grown up seeing United dominance, etc. And may want to obviously stay in the league to break those records. All that added together, I think I would agree with you, mate. I think there's potential for that to happen. And obviously, we all know we'd be getting, one of the world's top strikers, and I would be all for it. Getting him in there, getting him up top with the players we've got around him. I think it could be a match made in heaven, to be honest with you. Yes, I mean, if you'd asked me, would I, if I had a preference, if we could choose, would I choose Haaland or Kane? If I'm being completely honest, I probably would choose Haaland just because of the potential, the age, etc., the longevity there, and the potential for the longevity there. But listen, I'm not going to turn my nose up at Harry Kane, one of the world's best strikers, turning up at our club next season, and it's exciting to think it's a prospect. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Nick. So staying on the transfer rumours then, Pal, there's been rumours this week again. We've talked about it before, but they seem to be getting a bit stronger now that we could potentially sign Rafa Varane this close season. Obviously, he's a Rolls Royce of a centre half, isn't he? He's won multiple Champions Leagues, World Cups, La Ligas, etc. There's no doubt in his quality. How do you feel about that situation that's sort of brewing?
Yeah, I mean, Varane is a absolute baller. I mean, obviously won the World Cup. I think he's been on our radar for such a long time. If we had this conversation 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, we would have all said Varane is the one. I can actually remember Nick saying that Varane is a baller. I'm not sure he's the one for us at the moment, but he's a baller. He needs a partner. And Maguire and Varane, I think that's got a decent look to it. You've got a big man, big strong fella heading it away with his massive head, and you've got Varane, pacey, won it all. That could be a good combination. The news reports look promising. I mean, it says at advanced stages, Zidane gives his blessing, that kind of vibes. But we've seen all this before. You put in Varane this season, but you copy and paste somebody else in last season. Ramos, Sancho, Fabregas, Bale, Hulk, Ronaldinho,
Wesley Sneijder.
Wesley Sneijder. You know what I mean? So I'm not. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but all this talk of Kane or Haaland, Varane, I can't see any of it. And that sounds very negative, but we were pretty shrewd in the last window. Then we've had COVID, lost a load of money. Can I see us going big on these players? If we're talking Varane, that's 60, 80 mil. Kane is going to be 100 plus, 120 maybe. So you're talking, 200 million this summer? I can't see it. Maybe we'll get another sort of 50 million poundish type player. But yeah, I'm not getting my hopes up, to be honest. I can't see Kane. I can't see Varane. Not sure who that leaves us with, but I think it will be another fairly quiet window. The messaging from the club has been we may see one marquee signing. I couldn't tell you who that's going to be right now. No idea. If it's going to be one player, is that going to be Varane? Is he going to take us to that next level? Not sure that's the priority for me. I still want a ball winning central midfielder to give the protection in front of the back four. I think you can still get by with a half a season Lindelof, but a holding midfielder might be the one. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Oh, thanks for that, mate. My mouth was starting to water. I was starting to drool a little bit having that chat, and dreaming of these lads coming in and seeing them signed, and you've just pissed all over my bonfire.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right, mate. Listen, you're entitled to your opinion. I respect that, but yeah, maybe you're right. But maybe we need a bit of a realism in this conversation. Maybe not to get too carried away. And I think what you've said, pragmatic, but probably quite realistic in terms of the way the market is at the moment. Not just with COVID, even before that. I think it doesn't always turn out that we're going to spend 150 million on a player, and not a lot of clubs do. So I think what you're saying probably does have some merit, even if I don't want to accept it. Maybe, Nicky, did you have something to add on that?
Well, I was halfway through buying my Kane number 9 shirt until Powell started talking. But we'll see.
Well, I mean, ask yourself, if Kane's coming in with the number 9 shirt, because he ain't going to take 10 off Rashford, that means Anthony Martial either loses his number again or is on his way out. And given he's probably not going to play again this season, or a slight faint chance of that happening, I can't see Martial leaving. I think Ollie likes him. If he was going to drop him earlier in the season, he would. Some of his performances are awful. Yeah, I just can't see it. I think this is going to be we'll try and get Cavani on another year's deal, and if that doesn't work out, that might force him to spend on a striker. But I can't see 150 million or Kane or Haaland.
I think
maybe
we might have just stumbled on the answer to the query there, mate, by mistake. This little swap deal with Kane and Martial, a bit of money going their way.
Jose would love that, wouldn't he? Get Martial back. Wow. I don't know. Maybe Kane does leave. Maybe that happens and they need to buy somebody else and they forced into Martial. I don't know. But I could actually see maybe a Calvert-Lewin. That might be a bit more realistic because he wouldn't be as much. You could probably get a Calvert-Lewin for a similar sort of Lukaku type transfer fee. Maybe Martial goes somewhere else to allow that to happen, or Calvert-Lewin is your Cavani replacement, and you have both of those two vying for the number 9 spot. Maybe that's the one.
Yeah, listen, it's interesting, isn't it? And I think, even if Cavani does get a new deal, as I sort of alluded to earlier, I would still like us to try and make that signing of a top class centre forward, whether it be a more up and coming, more realistic sort of option in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously your Haaland or your Kane. Let's watch this space, lads. Let's see what happens. I think we will try and sign a striker this summer, but it's interesting to see who it will be. That kind of really nicely leads me on to asking you, O, in terms of any other areas of the pitch or any sort of players we should be looking to bring in to strengthen. Have you got any opinions on anyone else, whether it be individuals or whether it be position, or what are your thoughts on any other areas we should be looking to upgrade this summer?
Yeah, I think the guys alluded to before today and previously, that kind of holding midfielder, defensive-minded midfielder. I know we've we like players like Ndidi. We've spoken about Leicester in the past and sort of the strength of their midfield with, as we just mentioned, Ndidi, Tielemans, Maddison. I definitely think it's an area that we can improve. I think Fred's done a job. I think he's at his limit. I don't think he can get much better than that. Obviously, we've also got sort of Matic and McTominay in that area. I think my argument is, and I have this conversation with my old man a lot of times, is that if you're Man United, you have to ask yourself how many of your players would get into your top 4, top 6 rivals. How many of those would go, oh, if that person was available on the market, we'd love to jump in and have them. I don't think there's too many of our players in that area that would have that. I don't think Matic would because of his age. I don't think Fred would either. I think McTominay's improving. So I think that would be an area definitely to get a reinforcement so we can take a little bit of the weight and the pressure of, Pogba and Bruno. I'd like to see maybe somebody like Dalot come back in the right back position. I think it's been, well documented that Wan-Bissaka's a brilliant defensive fullback. So I think, and unless he can be coached and improve that side of the game for him to improve on his attacking side of things, I think we need to have an opposite, a yin to his yang. We need an attacking option as well as a defensive option. I think on the other side, Telles and Shaw are sorted out. Maybe a defensive full reinforcement a la Varane to partner with Maguire. I think Lindelof's certainly able to be. We could certainly get an upgrade on Lindelof. Done well with Maguire. We can certainly get an upgrade on that. An attacking player again, right-sided. We've spoken about that for many years. Perisic a few seasons back. Obviously Sancho of recent times, and then the number 9 is if Cavani's going to stay another season or season after that. Do we get Kane, Haaland, Mbappe, Messi, and Ronaldo all in one season? I don't know, but there's definitely always room for improvement. Even when you're winning titles and league titles, I think you just have to look across the road at Liverpool. They haven't changed their team for sort of 3-4, coming up 5 years, and it does seem to be going stale, albeit they've had injuries, etc. But you've got to keep it fresh. Even the United teams, Cole and York, what did they have, 2-3 seasons together at United? That got split up. It happens over and over again. United, Rooney, Tevez, it happens over and over and over again. And I think we definitely need to add some new life and some new spice to the squad, I think, as regularly as we possibly can with quality.
Absolutely. And I just hope that we can sort of have a few irons in the fire, and maybe not all of them. I mean, we're not going to make, tons of signings, but if we're going to make a few signings, it'd be really lovely to see this summer one signing done, nice and early doors. I know it's not always possible in this day and age, but it would be fantastic to see, really lift us over the summer after the season finishes. A good player that we feel that can improve the squad coming early doors, and have that deal sort of done and dusted. I for one would like to see that happen this summer. Really interesting conversation about potential sort of ins for this summer. So thank you for that, lads. Really enjoyed that. Before we finish tonight, just to sort of update you on obviously the situation with the Europa League. I'm sure you've all been watching the game, but it's finished 2-0 on the night at Old Trafford against Granada, 4-0 on aggregate, which sends us through to a semi-final. We're going to face Roma, who won 3-2 on aggregate against Ajax. In that other semi-final, it's going to be Villarreal, who finished 3-1 on aggregate, 2-1 on the night against Dynamo Zagreb, against Arsenal, who won comfortably 4-0 in the Czech Republic tonight. So an aggregate win of 5-1. So that's how it looks in the Europa League. So we'll look forward to that. Other than that, I know I always say this, but sort of highlighted my week to get together with my mates and discuss Man United. It's been another really, really great show. I've really, really enjoyed it. So thank you very much for joining us. Tonight I've been joined by Mr. Mark Powell, Mr. Orlando Mario, Mr. Nicky G. Join us again next week for another edition of the Southern Manx podcast by the fans for the fans. Take care.
Hello, this is Orlando from the Southern Manx podcast by the fans for the fans. I'm the one who looks like Marv with the big hair because I've not had a haircut in 6 months due to lockdown. My earliest Man United memories are Eric Cantona, just doing Eric Cantona things. I remember seeing him on Match of the Day with my old man and thinking, he's brilliant, he's my favourite player, and pretty much the reason why I support Man United. All things Eric Cantona for me.